Yo, what's up, YouTube? Just got out of the gym. This is my life part 2. Let's go. All right, so we ended yesterday, me getting arrested in Georgia. So yeah, I got arrested in Georgia. We had about like $1,500 or $2,000 on us, or no, we had just a little bit less than my buddy's bail. So we had like $1,400 and his bail was like $1,500. I called my dad. I was like, hey, do you want to come bail me out? And, you know, I said me and my friend because I wasn't going to leave my friend in there. And then he said that he would come bail me out, but not my friend. And then he would immediately take me to some sort of treatment or rehab. And I'm just like, yeah, I wasn't going to leave my friend in there all by himself. And, you know, that would just, that's not a good thing to do ever. So I was like, yeah, I appreciate it, but I got to take my friend here with me. So finally we got in touch with his stepdad. His stepdad had some money on him. His stepdad drove from Massachusetts to Georgia to bail us out, thank God. And when he bailed us out, like, I was expecting him to show up and be mad, but he wasn't at all. He was like kidding around about it. He was like, he pretty much knew what we were doing too. I don't know if we told him or how he fucking knew, but he's just like, you guys should have just went down to Miami. You can get that stuff for way cheaper, and stayed on 95. I'm like, dude, this kid, this guy's a drug dealer too. But he was a black dude from England, so that shit was funny. The first time I've ever met him was, you know, from when we got arrested, like a month back. I met him. I was tripping balls on acid, and I was by myself because my buddy fucking was doing errands and shit. So I was tripping at the hotel by myself. He comes knocking at the door, and then he's just like, I won't use the real kid's real name. He's just like, where's Alex? Where's Alex? He had the black dude with the English accent. I just thought it was hilarious, man, because I was tripping out. I was like, this shit is funny as fuck. And then I'm just like, how the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, at first I was like, who the fuck are you, and how do you know we're living here? Somehow his stepdad knew where we were living, the hotel we were living at, and there he is showing up. So fast forward, like, that was the lifestyle I was in, man. Like, I wasn't paying rent anywhere. I was living with people. It was in and out of hotels. I was literally scraping by, like I was being a hoodlum. You know, when I got out of high school into college, you know, went to college for like a couple months and I dropped out. I couldn't show up to class. I couldn't concentrate. College is fucking hard, by the way. I give credit to anybody who's passed, because that shit was hard. So dropped out, you know, a couple years later, got arrested in Georgia. Once I got out of jail in Georgia, I went home. I had already had a couple court cases open because my mom called the police on me, and also my ex, like the girlfriend at the time, she called the police on me. So when I got back to Georgia and I was checking in with them to court, they were like, the person taking my information when I was checking in back from Georgia, she's like, oh, okay. Like, so pretty much I was supposed to check into a rehab or an outpatient program 2 weeks after my mom's court case, and like 3 weeks have gone by. That's when my court case was. And then boom, the lady knew I got arrested in Georgia. I wasn't gonna tell her that. She's like, you got arrested in Georgia, you're not even signed up for an IOP program. She's like, I'm gonna tell the judge that you should go to jail. I'm like, oh fuck. That was like the worst news ever, man. I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to jail again. And then, so we get on the stand. I have a family lawyer that my dad paid for, thank God. So my dad paid the lawyer. The lawyer was like $5,000. And so he paid for the lawyer. We get up on the stand, and, you know, the judge is like, I'm shaking, by the way. I'm fucking shaking. The judge, like, was really thinking about it, man. Like, I forget exactly how it went, but then one thing came to another. My lawyer's like, we'll take him to rehab immediately if you accept the plea deal. So I had to plead guilty to whatever that was charged on me, whatever. Took the plea deal. Then, long story short, went to rehab in Connecticut, did 30 days there, and then from there I went to Halfway House in North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina. So spent like 3 months down there. I didn't want to be there at all. Like, it was cool for the first week or two, but it was tight living spaces, man. Like, I had 3 people in my room. This is just like sober living, man. I don't really get it why you have to sleep in your room with people. But that day, like when I started sleeping there, I got earplugs and an eye mask, and I still wear earplugs and an eye mask to this day because of there. You know, I just got comfortable with it. And so I spent like 3 months there. That's when I first got my job doing moving and storage. I think that was like my first real job when I got a sense of like, oh, I can make this amount of money in this amount of time. So it did teach me a lot being down there. I was only there for 3 months. There came to a point where I was just like, man, I really want to do Adderall again, you know? So I came home, got a prescription for Adderall, and then, got a prescription for Adderall, and then I lost it for a little bit. I went on a run. I definitely relapsed. I was definitely being a goofball. I can't even remember exactly what happened right now, but long story short, I wound up in rehab again. I went to the same rehab, and there was a crazy time period when I went to like 3 different rehabs, and I got kicked out within like a week. Not because I was using, but just because I was being a punk. You know what I mean? There was one rehab where I fucking fought some kid, so they kicked me out. That whole time period is a blur. And then also, so this is how it went. That time period, I got sectioned. So I went to the mental institution for 2 weeks. That was a blast. They give you all these sorts of fucking SSRIs and antidepressant drugs. I was there for 2 weeks, and like it sucked, man. Like, you were in a hospital. One of my nurses was pretty hot, or the doctor, I forget. No, she was in there. She was like smoking hot, so that made time go by a little faster. But overall, that was crazy, man. To see actually crazy people in there with me, I'm just like, dude, I'm not like this. Like, what happened to me, you know? So I wound up there for 2 weeks. After that is when I went in and out of rehab a couple times. Then I finally went to rehab again, got kicked out again, and then this time I just went right to a halfway house in Boston. So when I went to the halfway house in Boston, I think that was, I'm on the right page. So I went to the halfway house in Boston, and then was there for a couple months. Got a really good job working for Lorcan, my old boss. He put me on to gardening, and he also put me on to real money. Like, he started me out at $12 an hour. Then within the first year, I was making like $28 an hour. Then when I left there, like 3 years later, I was making $30 an hour, which was great money. It still is great money if you can make that doing gardening work. And it wasn't that hard, you know, like, yeah, there was a lot of alone time and shit like that, but that's a lot of money for somebody. I think I was 23 or 24 at the time, and I never had a job like that. Never made anything anywhere close to the money like that. So it felt like it was possible. So I did that for like 3 years. And one of the years I did, you know, I was drinking, and I was doing Adderall the whole time working for him. Adderall for sure. And Adderall makes me very antisocial, and I'm already kind of antisocial as is. So when you throw Adderall in the mix, I lose my personality like completely, and I completely isolate myself from humanity. Like, all I do is care about work and doing this and doing that and being a fucking little meth head. So that's what happened there. And then after like 2 years of working for him, after the first year of working for him, I went back to rehab because I figured out that my insurance paid for rehab, and then I found a rehab in Southern California, which was fucking beautiful. I had a blast at that rehab. Like, it was a good time. There was chicks everywhere. The weather was beautiful. Everybody was like the Cali love type shit. But I didn't stay there. After a month, I left and I went down to Florida because like Florida was calling my name. So South Florida was calling my name. I was like, fuck California. I wound up banging a chick there, and she wound up marrying, not banging, marrying my friend's dad, Kenny's dad, the dude that was supposed to come out here and help me work for me. She wound up marrying Kenny's dad. So that was pretty fucked up. So I just got all paranoid and I just left there. I was like, I was planning to go to the East Coast anyway to go back to Boston and work for Lorcan. So I went down to Florida first, I got an apartment down there, spent a couple months down there. I had a little bit of money saved up, like 20 grand or so from my gardening. And then, I couldn't find a good enough job to withstand myself in South Florida because the economy sucks down there. So then I drove back up to Massachusetts. I dated like 4 girls that year, man. That was a crazy year. But so I went back to Massachusetts, went back to work for Lorcan. And then the next segment of this video will be when I went to Europe, because that was pretty instrumental on my life. I don't want to bore you guys with too much more right now. Like I said, I try to keep it in the 12-minute mark on my videos. But yeah, that's a fast forward tidbit of my adult life. The next part of this movie will be when I went to Europe. That was some pretty life-changing. That was a life-changing trip, man. You'll see I do have when I got sectioned to go to the psych ward, they did say I have like bipolar or whatever, bipolar 1 or 2. I forget, whatever the one with manic episodes. And you will see like a repetitive thing, like I do, like in the past I did have manic episodes. But honestly, I think it's really to do with the food I eat, or food I was eating. That's why I'm super strict on the food I eat, super strict on the water I drink. Like, all this shit can cause people to have manic episodes, I believe. And then you throw the food, and then you throw in the drugs I was using, and yeah, you have a recipe for manic episodes. I don't think I'm actually crazy. I just think, I'm high spirit, and I get excited about things, but like, I've seen crazy people when I was at the hospital. I'm not one of them, thank God. So yeah, if you like this video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. We're getting into some real shit about my life. I'm making myself pretty vulnerable to you guys, so I hope you guys appreciate it. Hope you guys, my intention with all this is just help somebody else that's going through something similar, because I've been through it, as my stories can attest to you. And there was times where I was just like so hopeless. Like, I never was going to kill myself or anything, but I'm just like, I'm never going to make it to be anybody. I'm never going to make any money. I'm never going to be able to afford a house. I'm never going to be able to do this and that. So I just want to show y'all that you can be at these low places as long as consistent action towards your goal, consistent action, waking up early every day, for example, you can get there. You know what I mean? I'm getting there. I've been focused on it, like honed in, tunnel vision since January, February, and I'm getting there, man. Like, I'm getting there. Like, I was in tears this morning because I was looking at I've been looking at like F-350s, like F-250s with the plow, and it's like, man, that's gonna be, I'm just thinking of the picture I can post, like me in front of all this stuff. Like, I got 2 vehicles now. I never thought that was coming this year. I got 2 vehicles, working on the 3rd. You know what I mean? Like, this shit's real, man. So just trying to motivate somebody going through something similar. And I love you guys. Peace. Subscribe, please.